Welcome, Hannah, to the podcast. It's a pleasure to have you today.
Thanks for having me, Odofi and friends, Dose and friends.
Awesome friends, and you're one of the friends.
Yay.
Welcome, welcome. So, Hannah, if you
Thank you.
could you please introduce yourself?
Yes. Why you say introduce yourself like my name?
Your name, what you do, anything you like
Oh,
to say.
okay. Okay. My name is Hannah. I am Sierra Leonean. Um, what I do, I'm a senior policy analyst. What do I like to do? I like to craft. Like I like crafting. I like to make things and I like anything bow tie, anything tool, anything girly. Yes, that's me. Um, yeah.
Thanks for that introduction, Anna. And you saying you like something crafty. We're gonna talk about that a little bit because we need to dive into that artsy side of you. But before we get into that, Hannah, uh, we're both in Ottawa,
Hmm.
and that's where we met and developed a friendship over the years. But I've been in Ottawa for about 5 years. So, how long have you been in Ottawa for?
13 years. I've been here for 13 years. Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. So, and I have to ask this question because I moved to Ottawa in 2019, and there's always this question like, Ottawa, you move into a boring city.
It is.
I've lived here for 5 years, I feel like I'm not so sure if that is actually the case. But my question to you, Hannah, is like, what makes it so special that you've stayed this? Did you say 13 or 16? 16 years?
13
13
years.
years, exactly.
I would say commitment. Ottawa is boring. Commitment in the sense that I came here for school, originally for school. After I was done school, another commitment came up, which was work. After, whilst I was still working, another commitment came up, which was my master's. After that, another commitment came up, which is marriage. So, like, it's just been one commitment after the other, and there hasn't been a reason for me to leave, even though it's boring. But yeah, it started with school.
Oh, okay. And speaking of our school, and you, as you said, one of your commitment was going to university, and I guess you chose Ottawa U for school. Oh, how did that come about? What about Ottawa U that eventually became your choice for school?
It wasn't my choice. It was forced upon me. So I had applied to three schools, Queen's, University of Ottawa, and University of Waterloo. And I
Okay.
got into all three of them. So my first choice was to go to University of Waterloo because it was where I would be closer to where all my friends would be, which is like the GTA. So that was
Hmm.
my first choice, and that's where I accepted. I'm going, yes, yes, yes. But then my mom had other plans for me because my sister was already here in Ottawa, and she's like, "Oh, it would make more sense if you came to University of Ottawa, so that way when I come visit, I would be visiting the both of you instead of like splitting my trip." And I'm like, "No, I don't want to." But then she went to talk to my principal, who ended up convincing me to go to U Ottawa, and that's how I ended up here. And I think it was not. I believe that this is where God wanted me. So since I entered this land, it's been a fruitful one for me. So that's why that's how U Ottawa came up. And I loved going there. It made me discover a different side of myself.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Oh, that's
that
great. Oh, that's good. I didn't know. I thought you kind of like you just chose it.
No, because like prior to coming, like we used to come to Canada like every other summer, and would go to like all the it was a summer camp trip, and would go to like McGill, would go to U Ottawa, would go to all the other universities, and U Ottawa was never one that like, oh, I wanted to, but it grew on me, and
Going,
yeah, I'm happy about that forced choice, but yeah.
okay. Your first choice became a choice eventually.
Exactly,
But what
exactly.
did you study in Ottawa U?
For my undergrad, I did international development and globalization, and
Mm.
for my master's, I did public administration with a major in environmental sustainability.
Oh wow, wow.
Yeah.
I'm hearing smarts here, smarts.
Oh, don't please, don't please. You're hearing globalization.
Globalization, international, and all of these words, like it's. But
Yes,
anyway,
that's.
but anyway, that's good. It's impressive, Hannah. But how would you say, at the end of it all, doing your your postgraduate as well as your undergrad, how would you say was your experience at the university?
Hmm. Hmm. It was. I take it as a lesson because here I am. I think I started when I had just turned 17. That's when I started. Always, yeah. Yeah, I had just turned 17. Imagine a 17-year-old living with her sister, has all the freedom in the world. But it was that time because I came in the winter actually, yeah. So there wasn't, it's a good choice that I came in the winter because at that time I felt it was too cold. So that forced me to focus on my studies. So imagine I had come like
In
because during the
summertime.
winter they don't have the type of orientation that they would usually have like during the summer/fall session, right? So I didn't
Hmm.
have all that like where you meet like all the people that you're starting with. So in a way it forced me to kind of get into the groove of things right away. So once I came here, my mom dropped me, my sister showed me around. She actually drew, she drew things for me. She's like, "This is where the bookstore is. This is where. Don't ask me, just go." And then that forced me to be independent, right?
Okay.
And I'm thankful because my first ever class, I made friends. That's where I met like friends that I'm still friends with till date, and they were there since the fall semester, so they showed me around, showed me things. So I would say I came to myself through university, my university education. That's when I discovered myself. I discovered my strength. It wasn't, yes, I had been doing the Canadian system, so it wasn't a shock to me. The essay
Okay.
writing, the the research aspect of things. So it wasn't a shock. So it was just me having to put in the work. And I did. That semester was a good semester if I remember. It was just my experience with like one professor that I would never forget that professor, but that professor helped me sit up, right? Because then
Hmm.
I think I can't remember clearly what happened, but I went to him, I'm like, clearly you're being a bit harsh with the marking. That's when he explained it to me like, this is not high school where somebody's going to hold your hand anymore. Like, and that was a wake up call for me. And yeah, so it was then that I started with a goal, and my goal was I wanted to get into co-op. So because I
Okay.
wanted to get into co-op, I needed certain grades and a certain CGPA. So my every action, my every midterm, my every research paper had that goal. So it made me sit up straight. So I think that's what worked for me. That I came in with a goal. I wasn't like, well, I'll just see where things are going. There was always a goal for me.
Oh wow. You already had a vision, a
I
plan.
did. I did because I think I had my days of being like, like exploring, being the wild person before entering. So those things didn't interest me as much anymore. Now I'm like, yes, I want to get into co-op. From co-op, I want to do this and this and this. I had my goal, and that helped.
Yeah. Hannah, you're talking about co-op. I
Hmm.
think that's like a very important thing, right? When you get into you're in undergrad, you try to get into co-op, and then you get um I don't know much about co-op because I only did my master's here. I didn't do my
Yeah.
undergrad here, but I guess that's how you get paired with other, like, um I would say, companies,
Yes.
organizations, so you get some work experience, right? And that kind of like helps when you leave
Yeah.
university because you have that experience, and that can at least put you one or two steps ahead of other people that don't have it, right? And
Yeah.
I don't know if you can if
Okay.
you can talk about that a little bit more from
Yeah.
based
So
on your
how it
experience.
Yeah, so how it was explained to me when I was in high school and like the application started, they already spoke to us from high school about co-op, where I don't know how to explain, but like you said, it's a program where you can study and at the same time part of your credits are for working. So like let's say you study this semester, the next semester you will just be working, you won't be studying, you get credits for that. And then the
Okay.
next I think you get credit for that. And then the next semester you work. So it was like that. And when the application was done for me, I was told it's co-op and you just have to get this certain CGPA by your second year. I believe like everything just fuzzy in my head right now, but you have
I
to get
know
a certain
that's a
CGPA,
couple of years ago.
right? And then you would go to the co-op office, I think, submit your application, and then there'll be a waiting list where you have to be matched with where you'd go work. So that was what I was told before I came, and I worked hard to get the GPA that was needed. And I was on the waiting list, but I never got matched. So that was like another, but keep in mind, for me, I felt like that was a disappointment, but that ended up working out for my good because with the co-op, I think you end up staying 4 years or an extra semester because you're working, right? So I think
Yeah.
it takes a bit longer. But the good thing is with the co-op, most companies, I know in the government, when we have students that come work under co-op, a lot of times you build a rapport with them, and when they're done, you bridge them in. So instead of they'll continue working, but no longer as a student. Like when they finish graduating, they'll now become an employee. Um, so that's the advantage because a lot of times you end up finishing school with a job already secured, right? So
Right.
that's the good thing about co-op, but it didn't work out that way for me. I was on the waiting list, I never got matched, waiting, and by the time I think when I got to my third year or something, they're just like, yeah, it's a bit too late because if you do this at this time, you won't finish till this time. So it was just it didn't work out, but I say it worked out in my favor because instead of staying in school, I finished actually earlier. So it's like instead of it taking 4 years, no, a regular degree takes 4 years. And I think if you do co-op, it takes 4.5. I can't remember
Okay.
really, but I ended up finishing my 4 year degree in 3 years because I was
Okay.
like, I did summer school, I took extra courses and yeah. So that helped, but it was also a disappointment that came with it because you're looking forward to it, like you're
Correct.
going to,
Yeah.
yeah, because
Yeah.
and
Just being
especially
in
with,
that
right, especially with my
environment.
program, it's a good program where you'd want to like work, you'd want to like help out and feel like you're making an impact because you're learning about all this impact about international development and globalization, and you want to like get the practical side right away. But
Mhm.
then you have peers in your class that they'll be like, oh yeah, I just came from work, I just, yeah, it was disappointing, but it was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You always have to look at the brighter side of things, right?
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
anyways, Hannah, after graduation, I guess you started working in the federal government, right? I don't know if it
No.
happened that way.
No, it didn't happen
What?
that way. It didn't happen that way at all. So whilst I was schooling, like whilst I was still in school, I would take extra courses. So in a semester you can take 3 courses. When you take 3 courses, I think you're considered part-time. Then you can take 4 courses or 5 courses. And depending on your GPA, they will allow you to take 6 courses. So for me, I was always taking 6 courses, and then I'll take summer school. But then I'm like, I need work experience. Like, so I applied to the Bay. The Bay is still around. It's like a retail
Mm,
store. So from
yeah.
school, I've been working at the Bay. So I'll do like 12 hours there. So when I finished school, I continued working at the Bay, and then I explained it to, because as an international student, when you're done, you apply for your 3-year
Yeah.
work
Work
permit.
permit.
And from that work permit, it gets you have to work in a particular at that time. I don't know if I think they've changed it now, but at
Yeah,
that time you had to
I think
work.
they have.
They have? Okay, yeah.
Yes.
That time you had to work in a particular job. I think it was, and at that time it was NSS skill 0A or B. So your job has to fall under that category. And if you've worked there for 1,560 hours, see, I remember because it was tough. 1,000, you have to work for 1,560 hours. After that, then you apply for your PR, and then you get your PR. So when I graduated, I explained it to my then manager that, oh, there's a chance that I haven't gotten a job yet, but there's a chance that I would leave. And she's like, oh, why would you leave? And I explained the whole situation. So I need a job that falls this, and this.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was a sales employee. So to if I kept working there, I needed to move to NOC Skill B, which means I needed to be a manager there. So that's how I explained it to her. She said, oh, okay. Thanks for letting me know. So again, she knew I was looking, but I didn't know she had gone to talk to senior management about it. And then one day she's like, guess what? We found a position for you. It's a cosmetic, like they had different counters, right? So each
Mm-hmm.
counter, you could be a manager of each counter.
Okay.
And so I know you're not used to cosmetic, because even though I say I'm a girly girl, like I don't like I don't do makeup, and not that I don't
Uh,
do it, I don't know how to do it, right? So when she said cosmetics, I'm like, have you seen me? I don't do those things. She's like, well, but it's a good opportunity. It's coming. So yeah, I took it. And that's how I worked there till I got my
oh
1,560
wow.
hours. Yeah. And I applied for my PR. But like when you work there, because I was downtown, like you get a lot of people coming in, like a lot of government employees, a lot of like just a lot of people coming in. And where like the counter I used to work, it wasn't makeup, it was more skincare um oriented, and like taking care of like your body and all that. So I was like giving people hand massages, and then you build relationship through that. Like they'll tell you what they do, then they'll also ask you what's your background. So like I'll tell them. So you get a lot of people that are like, oh, send me your resume, let me put
Oh.
it right. Yeah. So they'll be like, oh, let me put a word in for you. And then it was actually my friend. Shout out to Lydia. So she came to visit me one day at the counter, and we're talking, and she's like, "Oh, girl, you do this thing so well, like and like you can do more." Not like she wasn't looking down, but she's just like, you can do
Mm,
more, right? So like, give me a resume, let me put it in. Like there's nothing I can guarantee you, but like, and I gave her, like, let's say I gave her my resume. I didn't think too much about it because I was giving a lot of other people my
yeah.
resume. So, and then I think like the next year I receive a call. Hi, we found your resume somewhere, and we're looking for someone to cover for 3 months. The admin that we have is going for another position, and we're looking for a 3 month, 90 days, 90 days coverage. Are you interested? And I'm like, 90 days? So comparing 90 days and you having a full-time job, but I'm like, it's with the government. I've always wanted to work with them. So I went for the interview, and after 2 interviews, I didn't get it. So I'm like, okay, let me not think too much about it. Then the next week I received another call. Hi, I'm calling from the same department, but from another team. I
Uh-huh.
got your, because you submitted as a floater, like casual, right? Because if you want to be indeterminate, you should have gone through the official application system online. But this one is just like when they're looking for 90 days coverage. And
Okay.
I went for that other interview. The interview took like not too long, and I got it. So that's how I got in 90 days with the government. So I worked for 90 days, and the director really liked me. And she's like, okay, so we can transfer you. The person is not coming back, so we can extend you into a term. You need to pass your French, you need to pass this. So I worked on my language and went to French school. I took the exams and all that. And yeah, that's
Oh
it. That's
wow,
how
what
I
a
got in.
story. What a story, Hannah. Wow. I didn't know
That's
this.
it.
But anyways, it just shows that, creating relationship, you
Yeah,
know, um, giving out your resumes and all of these things helps.
it does. It does.
Wow, wow. So now, how long have you been working in the federal government now for?
Hmm. Almost 8 years.
8 years.
Almost
So
eight
that's
years.
it. You're not leaving. You're not leaving.
Wow.
After you pass the 5 years mark, you're not leaving.
Who knows? Like, oh, like, yeah, you're right. Like, I don't think well, maybe God has another plan, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, you know how it is. Like I didn't know so much about the government until I
Mm-hmm.
got to Ottawa, and
Mm-hmm.
then I realized how working for the federal government is so advantageous, right? It has so much benefits and all of these
Really?
things, right? Job security for one. But basically,
Really?
from your own point of view, though, what do you think are the benefits or the advantage? Because otherwise, a federal town, everybody
Mm-hmm.
almost, I would say, like 70% of people work for the federal government, or the rest who are in private sector are contracted to the federal government. So I was just, in your own opinion, what do you feel like, are the advantages of?
That's a good question. The advantages.
Because I know, because I'm in the private. I don't get I don't get a pension. You guys
Oh, you
do.
don't get a well.
So that's one big thing that I've been
Okay,
talking
yeah,
to a
the
few
pension.
people,
You
and the
can
people
talk.
are saying
Yeah,
like,
the pension. Yeah,
if
but
there
I thought
is
you
a
do the
pension,
RSP with the
yes,
private
but
sector. Oh.
yes, but that's like, something that I'm contributing to. But with the federal government, if you work for a certain amount of years, I think about 30 years, you get a pension for the rest of your life, right?
I think they've changed it. I think it's yeah, it used to be 25 years. I think it's now 35, I think. But
35
yeah, so
years.
every paycheck, money comes out that gets paid. Like you're technically paying too, and then they also put in their own there. I think it's the same for RRSP, where you
Yes.
pay and then they try to match. Yeah. So every paycheck, money comes out from my paycheck that goes towards my pension. But I would say one thing that I'm grateful for is when I went on maternity leave, I was having, in addition to EI, I had a top up. So I would say for those that are planning to have a family, it's a good time. Like I was really thankful during that time. So in addition to your EI, you get top up from your employer. So that was, and I think it's up to, I, I can't remember, but 93% of your pay, which is
It's
good.
something. It's
It
really good.
is
It's
yeah,
really good.
good. So I'd say that's one advantage for me, in addition to the pension that you mentioned. Yeah, and appointments, like when you have medical appointments. I won't. But if I'm talking, you still have to ask for permission and put your time in. But I think there's more flex there than if when I was in the private sector, like there's some limitations like when you have
For
like your
sure.
appointments, and yeah, so that's what I
For
would
sure.
say.
I think I also what I also like, I think I like your the career mobility program or scheme that is in there. I don't know if it's in the Fed as much, but you can whilst you're in the federal government, you're in one position, then you can apply to another position
Yes.
and still hold your position. I
Yeah,
don't
you're
know how it works per se.
substantive, and then you go and
Substance,
act. Yeah.
go and act and all of those things. I feel
You
like
go on
that
assignment, and then you can always come back to your substantive. You're right. You're right.
exactly. I feel like
You're
that
right.
kind of helps
You're
people
right.
grow and be able to take on roles and try out roles, which is
Yeah.
something that I don't necessarily. I've not worked a lot in Canada because I've only been here for a while, but in the companies that I've been, private companies that I've been in, you don't get that. Right? It's
Oh,
either you
okay.
apply for another role,
And
you
then you
get
go
it,
to the room.
and you go to that role. If you suck at it, then too bad. But if you do
Yeah.
well, of course. So you don't get that protection as
No,
you would
you're
get
right.
in the.
You're right. You see, you're
Yeah.
the one even telling me, because I never thought about it that way. Yeah, you
I'm
act.
the whatever I hear, it's all the little things that I hear.
Yeah, no, it's true. You can act. Acting is like when you go to like a higher position. Like there'll be a time limit on it, obviously, and you go back to your substantive after the time is over, or you can go on assignment. So like let's say same level, but maybe you're a bit bored of your file, or you're tired where you're working, or you just want to learn something, you want new knowledge to add to what you're doing. You can say, oh, I want to go on assignment on another team, another department. Yeah, so that's very true. Like you can move within department, or yeah.
Yeah. So, Hannah, just to wrap things up, you've been in the federal government for a while, so I guess what I would like to ask is basically in terms of growth, like what would you do, or what do you feel like it's necessary to kind of like grow your career within the fedgov?
I would say first your work ethic. Like focus one, think of yourself. Like, am I giving my best? Am I working onto, like, am I working as though I'm working unto God? So that those are things that I always thought of. Like, and am I solving an issue? So when I started as an admin, and I saw what my team needed, and I built a tool that really helped my director. And my director took that tool and shared it with her other director friends, who then told their admin they want the same thing. So create something that they'll be like, yeah, you innovate, like you're innovative, like you did this. So I was very innovative in my role, and I was also always applying. Like I knew where I wanted to be, so I kept applying. I kept applying. I kept applying. From an admin, I went into a policy position, and that policy position came at that time. I think, I don't know if they've stopped the program, but at that time, the policy position was a developmental position where every year you get reviewed, and if you did everything, like if you met all the checkbox and all that, you get promoted to the next level. So I was part of that position. So you can get promoted up to level 5. So I started as
Okay.
a 2, and then I got promoted from 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5. So every year, like I was meeting my goals. So that's my advice. Keep applying, but also keep checking your work ethic. Am I doing the best that I can do? solving problems for my team. So then that way, when come time for your review, and whatever you do, write it down. This is what I did. This is what I did. This is what I did. So when you're doing your mid-year review, you're doing your end of year review, sometimes your manager may have forgotten what you did, or sometimes mid-year you change managers that may not be aware of what you have done. So keep a record of everything you've done and present it. This is what I was able to do, and it shows that you're being productive. It shows your track record. So that was the case for me. And in all this, I would also say God, 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 God. Like, I really put God first in everything. And I communicated to him, this is where, for me, what I think is he puts the desire, what he wants for you, he puts that desire in your heart. So I think he always put that desire in my heart for more. And I will check in, like, this is what I want, this is what I want. And you can see, I would say the acceleration was not on my own. Like, God also helped me every step of the way. So yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. Keeping track records. And you're talking about God, and I want to move a little bit of conversation from the Fed into, your business talents and things like that. Things like that.
I don't feel that money I didn't look for, not to talent. Yeah.
But talents
But
brings money. Talents brings
yeah.
money, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
All right. I know. You're very you're very active in the church, and you knowing you for the first time, I know you're part of the children's ministry
Yeah.
and things like that. So I just want to talk about it briefly, probably like maybe what led you into it, and basically what that is. Even though it's voluntary, right? I know it's voluntary, just giving your time, but what skill set did you think that you got from that experience?
Okay. When I was younger, I always wanted, the two things I wanted to be was a teacher and a lawyer. So when I moved to Ottawa and I joined church, um the first preaching I that really got to me was about serving. Like, you need to serve in church. So after church, I went to meet the pastor. I'm like, I love the message, I would like to serve. And he said, what do you like to do? I said, I like to teach. And that's how I came about children's ministry. So they introduced me to the children's ministry leader, and I started teaching the children, and I loved it. But I'm also the type of person that I like to organize things. Like, when I see that there is a mess somewhere, not to say that there was a mess, but like when I see that there could be room for improvement, I like to organize things in my head and then come up with a plan. My director always calls me, like, she always says I'm what does it say? Program oriented. I like to manage programs. So that's what happened. I saw that there was a need for a registration system. I saw that there was a need for, like, reporting system, and organizing the lessons in such a way. So I took that upon myself to create a registration system for the children, so we can have some data about the children, and also when they're brought in, like, to sign them in, to sign them out. So I took on that project, and it helped me learn about the different tools that you can use to build a database system. You can use Excel, you can use Access, and those things. And it forced me to learn, because I don't know much about it. So I'll, like, watch YouTube videos. I would ask, like, friends at work that were good at programming and all that. So that helped me build a system like that. And in turn, that also helps with my um actual, like, my day job, because my day job, I'm also tasked with building a database to track some things that come into our shop. So um so the experience that I got from Sunday school, building that system for Sunday school, I'm also using that same experience building a database for my team at work. So I just saw, like, hand in hand. Like I'm
Yeah.
working for God, He's also using that same gift to promote me at work. So that's what I did. I always look for what mess can be cleaned or what can be improved. So in addition to teaching the children, and like sometimes I'll prepare a lesson for the children, the lesson speaks more to me. And that's how I would, and I like stories. Like I try to give it to them as in a story form. So it was edifying me at the same time. I'm pouring into the children. God is also pouring into me. I'm pouring into the ministry by doing this registration system. God is also pouring into me at work because He's giving me this knowledge to also come up with systems that we can use at work. So I miss that season. That's why I miss that season where I was like, because now after birth and taking care of
Yeah.
like an active toddler, you don't really have. You try. I'm still in children's ministry in my new church, but like you try. It's hard. Like it's hard juggling family.
All
And
of that.
the scripture that says when you're married, a lot of things change. It's actually true. But yeah, you just have to make that conscious effort to say, I need to keep serving God. I need to keep serving God. But those days when I was like single, I had all the time in the world to do all that. And I'm glad I took advantage then to do all that for God. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, Hannah has to say, seasons change, there's always a new seasons and stuff like that. So
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. You're
so
right.
talking about your yes, we talked about the church, but we still have to talk about the talent side, the cricut business and your event coordination. I was just thinking through it all, and I was like, you know what? If you look at most women, they always have like something going on the side. And the thing is, what they have going on the side is creative, right? Like probably for me, if I'm thinking about doing something, the first thing that comes to my mind, maybe can I do Uber or something like that? I look at it, that's not creative, right? But I was just wondering, like, how come, or why? I don't know what is it, but women seems to doing better when it comes to like on the side. Also, do you have any thoughts on that?
I think the reason why, like you said, like men may gear towards Uber. Uber involves you leaving the house. I can't afford to leave the house like now, like because if I leave and he wakes up, by him I mean my son, things like that. So you tend to find things. For me, my thinking was, what can I do at home that whilst he's sleeping I can be doing? What can I do at home that does not involve me leaving the house? Because if you know me, you know I hate leaving the house. Although if it's when you invite me for your Christmas parties that I go out, I really don't like going out. It's like, what can I do that I would still be in the comfort of my home? So the cricut, you mentioned the cricut, it actually I know that I've always been creative. Like I like putting pretty things together. So during when I had given birth, like I think it was a month after, um, I realized that I was a bit disconnected. Like I was really disconnected from reality, from motherhood itself. I just couldn't believe I had a child, and it was hard for me. Like it was hard for me to like see myself as a mother, and I knew I was slipping into this thing that they call like postpartum depression. So I told myself like I need something that will keep me busy, and it was I needed to learn a new skill. So I was watching YouTube videos. It's either learning how to sew or cricut. But learning how to sew means I have to leave the house. And I couldn't because the person that would teach me lived like 20 minutes from here. And leaving the house was not an option then. So I said, okay, Cricut is it is. So I started looking at YouTube videos of people doing Cricut, and I saw all the pretty things you could do with Cricut, like all the nice things you could create, and like the bow ties you could tie. And I'm like, this is
Hmm.
so pretty. So then I told my husband I want a Cricut machine, and he got it because as my postpartum gift, like my. So then when it came, I'm actually staying at the machine now. So that's how that Cricut journey began. And then I ordered a few things in like cups and like robes and all these things that you could use you could create things with. And I started posting it on Facebook Marketplace, and people were ordering, and one order came through, another came through, and that's how it started. Like you can see my office is filled of like filled with cricut things, the onesies and all that. Like people were ordering, and I liked it. That's how I fell in love with that aspect. It was just the need for me to learn a new skill so I don't fall into depression, and it turned into a profitable venture. But I think another thing that really motivates me, like I just came from vacation, so I tend to do things like my paycheck can't cover my vacation, right? So I tend to do little things on the side that would help pay towards the vacation. So you can also say money is my motivation.
Hey,
Yes.
it's everybody's motivation. Even right now, where I'm sitting right now, it's my motivation.
It's my well, you can say money is one of my biggest motivation, honestly, because why do I stay up till 2 a.m. doing orders for people? But yeah, you get it. Like, yeah, creativity is one aspect, but bills gotta be paid, enjoyment gotta be enjoyed.
Enjoyed. I like that.
Yeah.
Enjoyment gotta be enjoyed. That's a good one.
But yeah, that's it. That's why.
All right. But you know, in terms of like you said, you grew it into a business, and I guess you posting your stuff on Facebook Market, like kind of like differentiated you. Did you do anything to just kind of like differentiate yourself or create that relationship with people so that you like, because most people might wonder like how do you grow a business, like maybe in a quick short few sentences, maybe like how
Yeah,
you went about like just developing you know, your customer base and things like that.
I would say find your people always say find your niche or find your aesthetics. For me, it's the bow tie. Like there's always a bow tie in all my products. So because that's what I love. And I would attract people that love the same thing like that I do. So I try to make things as pretty as possible. And I feel like my signature bow tie does that for me. Another thing is customer service. Because I worked in retail, I do have like a lot of knowledge about customer service, and that's what I try to offer. Like when I'm offering a quote or when I'm talking, I take my time with the client. Response time also matters. So people don't like you when you take more than 2 hours to respond to them. So turn on the notification on your phone, turn on the notification on your laptop so that when people send you messages, for me, notification on WhatsApp is always turned off because that's why people always say I'm so poor at communicating. But like my notification for like my Facebook Marketplace or
Priorities.
my what? I'm not saying money is my priority, but you know what I mean.
I know, I know.
WhatsApp has a lot of groups, so the messages come in like and that
Mm,
that messes me up a bit. So that's why it's turned up. But with Facebook Marketplace, you know that when you receive that beep, it's business, man. So just take those, like your response time has to be on point. Like just 2 days ago, somebody messaged me about something, but I was so busy, then I had so much errands that I was running, I couldn't respond to her. In a matter of 4 hours, I got back to her, said, oh, she already booked with another person. So people are like, there's a lot of competition out there. So work on your response times.
oh
Yeah,
wow.
that's what I'll
Oh,
say.
that's a good insight. That's a good insight, and I appreciate that. Even that's something that I also have to learn. I'm
Yeah.
communicating with somebody. I need to respond fast and priorities.
Also,
Put
this
your
is a note to
focus where
myself.
it
Do that to your
matters.
personal relationships too. But it's hard, like because if you turn on the notification on WhatsApp, you don't know which one to sort through. But yes, let's just do
Yeah.
it. Yeah, that's
All
it.
right. All right, Hannah. So, quick thing. No, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I know at one time you posted something, a barter system. I was like, what? What
Yes.
is this? And I did
Yes.
economics some time back, and that was the first thing you learn about exchange for money, exchange for services and stuff like that. The first thing that was barter systems. I was thinking, hey, Anna, I want to take us back to the to the back in the days. But anyways, back to your system and is your son.
You could hear him? Yes. Sorry,
But it's
let's
okay. It's okay.
yeah.
But in terms of your bad assistant, how do you implement that in your own, with I guess with your friends and the people that you deal with?
I would say a lot of people hate that. They keep telling me that we're not in that century anymore. But for me, it's when if you have a skill and your friend has a skill, instead of using money as the form of exchange, you use your skills and your talent as a form of exchange. So, for example, if you are offering a service, I'm offering a service, we can be of like service to one another, right? So that's what I believe in. Like, I'm not saying that's how I trade for everything. No. So a
Hmm.
perfect example was my son's birthday last year. I did like a really big party for him. And if I tell you that a lot of the things did not come out of my pocket, would you believe it? Like, it was just like the person that provided the photo booth wanted our bounce house for her son's party. And this is someone I don't know, it's a total stranger. So we exchanged that service. So we provided a bounce house for her son's party, and she provided the photo booth for my son's party. Same with a lot of things that happened during that party. So it serves you well when you make your intent known. Like, say from right off the bat, do research. This person has something that I know I'll need down the line or something. Reach out to that person. The person that did not the balloon, the backdrop and the flowers, like the most pretty thing. It was a trade. I said, do you have a child? She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, I can provide this service for your child if you provide this service for my child. And
Oh
she took it
wow.
right away, right? This is, again, I don't know this person. Like,
Mm.
just reached out to her on Instagram. I saw what she was offering. I know what I'm offering in terms of kids things. So I showed her what I'm offering and she took it. The thing about my friend also is she's into decor. She came to help me do some of the balloons and the table setup. When she needs something and she comes get it, I wouldn't charge her to come get it. Like, so that's, you just have to have that understanding, but you also need to know that there's a limit. Ask the person, are you comfortable with this? If for example, I did a service a month ago for my friend, but I wasn't interested in trading at that time because I needed the money for my vacation. So
Okay.
always evaluate your need at that time and communicate it to the next person. But there's some people too that are not interested, right? They say pay for
Yeah.
my time, which is fine, and you respect that. When they say pay for my time, if it's something you really need, pay for their time, support
Yeah.
your friends, and it works out either way. But I love that system.
No, I think it's a great system. I don't think it's anything is wrong with it. I think, as you said, both parties have to agree.
I
Both
agree.
parties have
Yeah.
to, okay, going to say like, okay, this is what I want in compensation for the value of the service that I'm providing,
Yeah.
and both you negotiate it. You come to an understanding. At the end of the day, it's understanding, right?
Yeah.
That's it. But
Yeah.
I think it's a great system. I was a little bit surprised by it, but I also felt like, you know what? It's not always that we have to follow the same thing,
See?
just what everybody's doing. You have to follow the same thing, just to the line all the time. Sometimes you just kind of like, you know what? I'm going to be a little bit different. I want to think a little bit outside of the box. I want to do something a little bit different. So I appreciate that about you, and I respect that about you, Hannah.
Thank you, Kofi.
You're welcome. All right, and I think we've come to the almost to the end, not the end yet. So I have
Okay.
two things for you.
Mm-hmm.
One is a question that I always love to ask, and that is, what is the motivation behind your journey so far? When you
Hmm.
look at, starting off from, as an international student all the way here, like, what do you feel like has been like the driving force behind, or the ambition or the driving force behind your journey?
Hmm. I would say, huh. It's to live out my inheritance. And what I mean by that, I know who I am. Like, I know what God has deposited in me, and I know what his promises for me are. So the motivation is to fulfill that. Like the God given assignment on my life. And the motivation is also for a better life. You want to be better than you were yesterday. So that's one for me. And yeah, I think those two things. Um, and to make my parents and my family and myself proud. I'd say, yeah, those are the
Oh
things.
wow, well said, well said.
That's it.
Yeah, all right, all right. That's really good. That's really good, Anna. So Anna, I always do this, so don't complain behind my back or anything like that. I always ask a couple of random questions at the end of the
Okay.
podcast. But for you,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take it easy on you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so I only have one scenario based
Okay.
situation for you.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna play a game.
Okay.
The game is called For Love and for Country.
Okay.
All right? You
Okay.
ready? In this game, you have 5 questions.
Okay.
You're gonna answer if I don't understand the question, I might ask you why.
Okay.
Okay? All right. First question. Which do you prefer?
Mm-hmm.
Salon Jollof or Ghana Jollof?
I know why you're asking this because I'm married to a Ghanaian, right?
That's how you playing the game. For love and for
Salon
country.
Jollof.
Salon
Salon
Jollof.
Jollof.
I want to ask why because you know how it is on the Instagram. It's or TikTok is Ghana Jollof versus Ghana Jollof, Nigeria Jollof or versus Ghana Jollof. So why do you feel Salon Jollof is the best?
Uh, because Salon Jollof, this I don't. Oh, I just like salon. Maybe because I grew up eating salon jollof, but also there's this spice. This like this spice that they add in Ghana jollof, like that some people add that just throws me off. The is it the anise seed or something? Like there's just a certain spice in the jollof that kind of throws me off. But I'm not saying it's not delicious. It's very delicious, but I'll just choose salon jollof first. Then my second choice would be Ghana jollof, then Nigerian jollof.
Jollof. All right. Okay. I like
Mhm.
your answer so much. So so one for country, zero for love.
Yeah, zero.
All
The
right.
next one, wow.
I did a
Odofi,
little
you're
bit
really getting me here.
I did a little bit of research.
Mm-hmm.
I researched a food called kenke and
Mm-hmm.
fried fish.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I looked at it, it looked
Mm-hmm.
like lafidi to me. No,
No.
no.
No, lafidi is okra, jakato, and pepper. You grind it and then you put it
Yeah.
on top of rice and you sprinkle palm oil and benin seeds, right? That's lafidi, right?
Yeah, but it's like you put different food stuff,
Oh, I get what you're
you
saying.
know, in a plate,
Yeah.
right? And when I saw the kenke, I saw
Mm-hmm.
like different food stuff in a plate.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what jumped to my mind.
No, I would still say no, they're not the same because kenke is made from corn. There's nothing corny in lafidi, but I guess what you're trying to say because you eat kenke every day in this house. We kenke, you eat kenke with pepper and fish, and then some Ghanaians would add sardines. Some of them will add
Exactly. So
avocado.
lafidi also has sardine.
You're right, but different taste, different taste.
So you give
Like,
it. So you're giving it to kenke and fried fish.
oh, which one do I like more?
Yes.
Ooh, that's mm. Odofi, you can't. That's not fair because you can't. You can't. Okay, we eat kenke here every day because it's the easiest thing to make.
Mm-hmm.
But Lafidi, it hits the right spot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm. Mm.
I'll give it to Lafidi.
Oh, I didn't see this one coming.
Lafidi it is. Yeah, Lafidi
Definitely
for
it
me.
is. Okay.
Hey,
Right.
Odofi,
Two
Odofi.
to
For
country.
country, 0.
0 for law. Oh wow. And then I'm sure you
Odofi.
want to get out of this call.
Let's keep going. I have 3 more questions, right?
You have 3 more questions. Okay.
Okay, let's keep going.
Question number 3.
Mm-hmm.
I know you like to eat some snacks, right? You like snacks, right?
Yes.
So I also did a little bit of research and I
Uh-huh.
saw something called kati
Okay.
versus granite cake.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
So I'll give it to Nkati. So
You
1
use
for love. 2 for country. It's the same
it's
thing.
the same thing. All
Nkati
right.
cake, is that what you're Nkati?
Exact
Yeah, this
kati.
and Granat cake, same thing.
Same
Yeah,
thing.
so Nkati will take it from me.
All right. So okay, 2-1. All right. So I know you've been in Ghana, right? And
Mhm.
I guess you've been at the beach in Ghana.
Mhm.
Which
Oh
one?
God,
Which
I'm
one? Which
losing
one do
this
you go
one.
to?
In Ghana,
Uh-huh. Which
oh,
one's
you
like your
have.
favorite beach in Ghana?
I don't have a favorite. I don't have a favorite, but you have Bojo Beach. You have like is it Laboni or Labadi? Labadi Beach. Yeah.
Labadi. All right.
You have. You
So
have.
so
You have.
imagine this.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine you taking a stroll at Labadi, seeing all the nice, beautiful things. And imagine yourself in Freetown, Sierra Leone,
That's an
Longley
unfair
Beach,
question. It's
taking
an
a
unfair
stroll.
question.
Huh? Just
It's
picture
so
these
unfair.
things. Which one do you feel
Mm.
you'll get the feelings?
Salon.
So,
But that's an unfair question because you know that's one of our greatest strengths, like the resorts in Sierra Leone, the beaches there, all that. You know that's our
country one. Country one. I don't even need to ask the last question.
country one.
Country one.
Country one. You know what? Labadi Beach. Let's just say Labadi. So the
My
country does
body.
not win. Oh no, I can't do that to my country. Please. Salon Beach all the way. Please.
Well, this has been fun, Hannah. This has been great. Thank you for joining the
Thank you for having
podcast and just sharing your experience and just giving your own tips and advices on how to, to make to make it through school, make it through um, the federal government and with business. I think you gave some very good advice, and anybody who's listening to you would, and wants to follow in some of the footsteps that you've trodden. I think, those are great advice, and for me too, I also learned a lot from you, Anna. Great,
Thank
great,
you.
great conversation. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Odofi, for having me on here. Thank you for taking interest in the things that I do, and the questions were also very insightful. So thank you for that, and thank you
Well,
for this program. It does bring out the good. You like the people that I've seen you interview. It just show that we're going somewhere. So I love that. Thank you.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.